Carl and Brendan here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short, and it is track by track time as we are checking out Ill Nin's Revolution Revolution. This is the debut album by the American heavy metal band Ill Nin. Sold over 375,000 copies in the US. It was the only album that featured guitarist Mark Rizzo, who left the band in 2003 to join Soulfly, and percussionist Roger Vasquez, who left in 2003 and was replaced by Daniel Coutinho for the second album, Confession. Ill Nin had a second album, really? I know, I'm taking the piss, they had loads. It was released September 18th, 2001 via Roadrunner. Okay, Brendan, as always, Ill Nin history. What is it? What have you been up to with them?
What have I been up to with them?
Yes.
I can't speak about that on YouTube. Now, my Nino history is like probably most people do Nino history. I knew this album, but in the way of I knew 2 songs from this album.
Mm-hmm.
But enough that I still remember those 2 songs. You know, they were big songs back in the day. Very much in that era of, you know, bands hitting out their what I know they had more albums, but what to me felt like an era of one album kind of wonders.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, there was a band with a sort of similar-ish edge dropping stuff.
Yeah.
And because of that, albums generally back then sucked. But on each album, you often found 1 or 2 big singles that were pretty fucking decent.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what this album was to me. 1 or 2 songs that in my mind were good tracks, and I don't really remember ever listening to the rest of the album. But I would have done, because it was in the era where I would have had to buy the CD. Like I would have been buying the CD. Yeah. So I know that if I bought the CD, I wasn't sitting there going, I'm only going to listen to 2 tracks and not the rest.
No, of course.
Yeah, so you go into it thinking, I mustn't have liked the rest if I can't even remember a single one of them. And that's really where it ended for me. I didn't like, you know, I've not listened to anything from Ill Nin probably since about 2003 when this album came out.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same with me. I own this album. I remember the cover. I remember having a CD jewel case, and I did exactly the same thing that you did there. When it came to this track, when you chose it, so Brendan chose this one, I said to Lou, you ain't gonna believe what he's fucking chosen, because my wife is not a big fan of Ill Nin, but she thinks of them fondly because she was a big fan back in the day and saw them live a few times. So she's like, oh, that'd be a lot of fun. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I own that album and I can remember 2 tracks from it. Why can I not remember? And those were the hits. Why can I not remember anything else about this fucking album? So I did exactly the same thing you did. However, and I was baffled because I remember saying to my wife, we've done a track by track for Ill Nin. We must have. And it wasn't that. It's because Ill Nin had cropped up in a conversation in a tier list about new metal bands. And I had lost my shit about how terrible I thought this band were. So that was not a good start either. No. It's really interesting you say about the 1 album thing, because I also almost always, when I think of Ill Nin, I dump them in the same category as American Head Charge, who had The War of Art, Mudvayne, who had LD50, Mushroom Head. Spine Shank, New Disease, yeah,
stuff like that,
yeah. And even though I'm going to give Mushroom Head a pass because Mushroom Head are doing good stuff today, Ill Nin might be doing good stuff today. I just haven't fucking paid attention to it. But again, Mushroom Head back then as well and stuff like that. So you're absolutely right. It's all that 1 album hit.
Yeah,
fucking infuriating. But anyway, it is a long album. We do have to get through it. God Save Us, one of the hits. The new metal flavor is strong with this one, but the Latin flavor does at least make it a stronger concoction. I do find it quite bland at first, other than being quite stompy and raw, but it begins to win me over, especially with the chorus and the later melodic drop and soft singing. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. I don't hate this.
Yeah, same here. I instantly remembered it, you know, from the intro. It sounds dated, but a lot of stuff from that back in that era does. But I don't mind it still. Actually, the riffs are okay, the drums are good, vocals aren't as heavy as I remember in my head, being much more raspy. Whereas in my head, I remember them being like quite guttural, but it's more shouty raspiness.
Yeah.
At points, it's kind of new metal by numbers, but it's okay still. Chorus is a bit sucky. Verses have a good headbanging rhythm to it. It gets boring after a while, but the nice raw to bring it towards the end. It's not bad. Still.
It's a nice opening to just like sit there and go, okay, that was fine. It because particularly I'm sure you're the same when you went, okay, the first track is one of those two fucking hits.
Yeah.
If You Still Hate Me, a frantic burst of energy. The drumming is particularly strong here. There's a fair amount of fire to this one, but I think the high point comes with the chorus that has some soaring vocals and rockier riffs. The verses are very heavy though, and the rap metal style spitting of the lyrics is good too. I like this one, even if it's overtly angsty.
Yeah, I didn't really find much in this one that I liked a lot, to be honest with you. I think there were some moments in there. There's some nice sort of pinching guitar noises, some decent drums, but I really didn't like his clean vocals. Really didn't. I thought it sounded really, really strained. Lots of cool kind of stuff though in the music. There's some sort of samba, sort of, I don't know, soulfly. Well, what would become soulfly, Sepultura sort of drums and that sort of stuff. So yeah, musically cool. Not doing much for me, the vocals on that one.
Okay. Unreal. This one is a struggle for me. The intro falls flat and the immediate flare-up of metal quickly dissipates into something overtly familiar, which worried me because it was track 3, and bland sounding. The chorus is wank though, and there are no hooks in this one. Get in the bin with this one.
Yeah, I didn't like this. I thought a somewhat interesting intro turned into an absolute replica of just all the shit bits that came in the songs before. Like they dropped all the good bits and just took all the shit bits and made another song out of it. It just went downhill so quickly. I think I was 10 seconds in thinking, oh, the intro's pretty cool. And then that was it. It was like, this is fucking crap. Again, drums are decent enough. Clean singing the verses, at least a change, but it just doesn't work for me. And the chorus is absolutely terrible. This is not a good song.
Here we go, downhill moment. Nothing is clear. I can't say this is much better because of the clean segments, whereas the heavy and guttural roars work quite nicely for me. The chorus is this song's saving grace. It's decent enough with a catchy rhythm.
Yeah, I kind of happens a lot across this album though. I'm really kind of enjoying some of the music.
Yeah.
I like the guitar work and the verses. I like the fact that he switches between clean and heavy vocals, and that's a bit fresher than a lot of what's come on the album so far. Chorus is okay, but not great. They're not really smashing it with choruses here. A bit more interesting of a song with a bit more creativity, and I like the flamenco guitar solo. And again, the drums are really strong, so not bad, but like not memorable. I can see why I didn't remember it.
We're still waiting for that banger. We haven't hit one yet. Are we going to get it with What Comes Around? Arguably the biggest hit of all. Probably the one that was more played than God Save Us. I hate the angsty whispering at the start, but this one does kick up a notch to be a bit of a nu metal anthem. Rap metal vocals with some pretty crap lyrics, but it is delivered with some passion. I don't like it as much as I did back when I was younger, but I can still listen to it. The verses, for me, are stronger than the chorus.
Yeah. I mean, I very much agree with you on pretty much everything you said. I still think it works okay as a song. I like the heavy intro. The only bit that I disagree with is I really quite like the whispered vocals.
Okay.
Transition up to the chuggy guitars and then into the chorus works pretty well. Chorus is okay. It's not brilliant again. You have to see why it's such a hit. I don't particularly care for the slow down part in it, but it's not bad. Still listenable.
Here we go again, another listenable track from Ill Nin. Keep it up, lads.
That's the 2 that we mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah, we've got half an album to go. Liar, utterly forgettable. I had to listen to this one 3 times to take anything away from it. At best, I can say the Latin metal flavor is a bit stronger here, and when they rage nice and hard. I just found this one really hard to focus on and immediately forgot it after the 3rd time again.
Well, I quite like this one.
Okay.
I thought there was some good guitar work in the intro, though they're dropped from that. They're this kind of habit now of doing an intro then dropping the heavy is starting to feel very predictable. Lyrically, it's pretty decent. Actually, this song, they seem to be able to put a point across without having to dumb their language down. I find the slower bits a bit dull, but the step up to speed with the really, really fast lyric delivery is very enjoyable. It's decent, and yeah, I enjoyed this song more than I thought I would.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you found one. Rumba, I'm a fan of this one because it's a straightforward blast of heavy with some solid riffs and a bit of a banger chorus. The different vocal styles work really well here, and it's easy to vibe to for me.
Yeah, not much for me in this one.
Okay.
Good guitar work in the intro is one of the few redeeming qualities of the song. I just find it very, very pale and diluted in comparison to anything else on this album or that I've listened to so far. I think the drums are much more standard. The vocals offer nothing new at all, and the structure of the song is bland. Like I said, interesting guitar work at times, but otherwise it's just filler, and we're very early on in an album for
filler. Big eyes on that one. Yep. All right. Predisposed. I like the moody start. It's just a shame it doesn't really deliver anything stand out. A solid blast of metal with some decent riffs, and the tempo shifts make it feel a bit different. This one is just okay. I don't hate it, don't love it.
Yeah, again, sounds pretty repetitive now.
Yeah.
While there are some interesting drum patterns, guitar ideas, there isn't really like a hook for this song. It's just a bit messy with components I like some deep roars and verse drums, even a little slowdown, but it just doesn't flow or work as a whole package. You know, at best, it's messy and disjointed.
Okay. Well, when you hear a track called I Am Loco and you know it's a new metal band, what are you expecting? You're expecting probably something that ticks into the word loco, explosive metal. Well, this track is a fucking chore. The expectation of explosive metal is met eventually. The back and forth of this track does my head in, as it feels so new metal paint by numbers, it's disgusting. It takes an age to really hit a high, but it does end up delivering a pretty good chorus. But it's just not enough to save this track for me.
It's mad. We're like almost the polar opposite on this song.
Really?
I think it's pretty good. I like the verses. I actually wrote. I like this kind of menacing whispered vocals thing they do. It works really well for the band, and they should use it more. The little drum and guitar crunch at the end of a sentence works well for me too. But I thought the chorus was a bit crap. But I can grit my teeth through that while waiting for the good verses to come back. Kind of feel like there's kind of Mushroom Head vibes from this one, which for me is a good thing. And then I just pointed out that Mark Rizzo is a cracking guitarist, and it's actually his guitar work that makes this song.
He is a cracking guitarist. Is the reason why he became such an important part of Soulfly as well. Yeah, you're right. Completely opposite there. When I like the chorus and hate the verses, you like the verses and hate the chorus. Yeah. Okay, No Murder, ripping energy and smash mouth intensity. I do like Ill Nin when they're doing this, but man, the mellow drop and clean vocal segment absolutely stinks. Downright horrible and such an energy sucker.
Yeah, it's a weird track, this, man. It's got a nice energetic start, and at first I was like, oh, the scratching is a bit annoying, but then the transition into slow stuff takes annoying and just turns it into absolute shit. It's like I don't like the gentle morose stuff. I quite enjoy the step up in aggression, and then again they've successfully managed to completely outdo themselves with a new crappiest chorus I've ever heard. You know, and with every passing second, I just found myself getting angrier with this song, because there are songs in this album. I don't think there's anything on this album at this point that I would say is brilliant, but there are songs in this album that are still okay after all this time.
Yeah.
And then every now and then you get a song like this, and it's just like, where the fuck did this idea come?
Yeah.
Or the lack of ideas, because this is terrible. You know, so what was an okay start, by halfway through, has descended into too much scratching, shit choruses, and a load of bloated waffles. Hated it by the end.
Yeah, it's that new metal thing as well about quantity over fucking quality. Sometimes just leave the fucking track off. Rip Out Your Eyes. I'm getting a bit bored now, but the expectation of a short blast of fury is met here. This has groove and lifts my drooping spirits just enough to give me the energy to get through to the end of this album. I won't say it's spectacular, but it is a good track with a solid mix of metal and mellow.
Yeah, for me, like, it's all about the music again here, the drums and guitars. And I did actually write, if I could just get the singer to shut up, I reckon I would be rocking out and headbanging along to this one. But he doesn't, and he keeps distracting me from the interest in music. There's some nice aggression here. The chorus switches from whining vocal bollocks to roars is a welcome and well overdue move. It's not a bad track, but it's got a lot of good things going for it, but mostly in the music department.
The title track and the penultimate track, Revolution Revolution. Big fan of this track's start. Those guitars are sharp as fuck and then become really chunky. The slow vocal barbs go into clean, then hitting Death Fury and so on is very cool. This one has a lot of imagination and variety in it. The chorus almost undoes the good work because it's bland as fuck, but the chunk of the instrumentation wins me over overall.
Whereas I started off by saying, considering this is the title track, it's a bit shit, isn't it? Agree in the chorus, you know, genuinely not cracking choruses, these guys at all.
No.
They never quite got it on this album. And the heaviness, you know, it's like there's some good stuff and there's some good drums, some good roars, all that sort of stuff, you know, but it's nothing new. And I guess maybe I was a bit broken by the fact that, I don't know, I just felt like because it was the title track, like I went into it expecting more. You know, if you're going to go like out of all the songs in this album, this is the one for the title track, you know, it better be fucking good. You know, you'd be better off calling this album God Save Us or What Comes Around or something, because they're better tracks. So, yeah.
Are they? Are they?
Well, I mean, there's from the 3 or 4 songs across this album that aren't bad, they're all relatively close to each other.
I need to defend this track a bit. I need to defend this track just slightly for reasons you'll see at the end. Okay, finale. We end with You. And I'm glad it's ending. It's one of those where I was like, okay, I'm done with this album. And delivering a Latin acoustic rock finale wouldn't exactly have been my choice of finales. It is good though, but if this had come around the halfway point of the album, it would have made so much more sense. It's like a breather moment in the middle of the album. Instead, it just ends up being a flat ending, which doesn't feel fair because it's got a lot going for it. Nice melody, well-sung vocals, and enough rock vibes to keep it feeling as part of the same camp as the rest of the album. It's positioning. That's it. It's positioning that fucks it up for me.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I remembered this one, or at least I felt like I recognized it a little bit, but I don't know. It's very, very different, obviously, to the rest of the album. It's nice enough, clean, flamenco guitars, bongo sort of drums. And the change of pace is refreshing at first. I agreed with you in its position. Felt that this would have worked really, really well halfway around just to break the album up. But then they would have ended on Revolution Revolution, which is a shit song. So there you go. Get one more in before he defends it. But yeah, I think like at first I was kind of like the change of pace is refreshing, but I think like it fades away rather quickly and you soon kind of lose interest.
It's the whole album though, man. The whole fucking album fades away. I mean, even when did you do your notes for Ill Nin?
Oh, 2 weeks ago.
Yep, same. About 2-3 weeks ago when we first mentioned via text about this. I'm reading what I've written and a lot of this just isn't even in my head anymore. I'm like, what was that? What happened?
I can tell you, like, already 2 weeks after listening to this album again, I can still only remember what God Saves Us and What Comes Around sounds like.
This is just not a band that resonates with us at all, but we did have to choose 3 tracks. So go on, Brendan, what have you got?
So I've actually gone for Liar, I Am Loco, and God Save Us.
We have got completely the opposite 3 different tracks. I've gone for 3 completely different ones. I've gone for If You Still Hate Me, Rumba, and Revolution Revolution. So there's my 3. I do believe there are going to be some ardent defenders of this band that are going to say we're being dicks about this. That's totally fine. It is our opinion. But I would absolutely love to know what it is about this album or specific songs or Ill Nin in general that you love. You know what to do. Drop your comments in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?